welcome to this episode of the Successful Franchisee's Beautiful View. I'm very fortunate today to talk with Charley Stoessel, who is the franchise director for Grease Monkey and SpeeDee Oil Changes. I'm sure that I didn't get the name exactly right, but
That's okay. Close enough. I'll take
Charley will correct me as we go along. And I was able to talk with Charley last week, and he is just phenomenal to speak with. So I thought I'd share him with the audience. And Charley, thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Luke.
Tell me how you got started in franchising and what you're doing now.
Well, I started maybe 6.5 years ago. It started with childcare, is how I began my journey in franchising, working with a major childcare provider. Really learned an awful lot by doing that. The basics, just how to introduce people to this, how to take people through an information gathering process. And that whole process is very easily translated into other endeavors. Had the opportunity to come here to Grease Monkey and FullSpeed Automotive, which is the parent company. And a lot of that was the opportunity that Grease Monkey provides in that we have a lot of real estate out there that we can work with. We are in major growth mode right now. And for those people who are interested in automotive and interested in the business that is recession resistant, is something that is in need, was during the pandemic, and hopefully we never go through this again or that again. It was declared an essential business during the pandemic. So really, it's a segment of business that just shows great need and great growth, and it's a wonderful opportunity for anybody to jump on board with FullSpeed Automotive, particularly with Grease Monkey and with SpeeDee Automotive.
Fantastic. Thank you. And what are the main differences between Grease Monkey and SpeeDee? Because they're playing in the same field.
A little bit in the same field, where Grease Monkey is maybe 80-20 on the oil and lube versus light repair segment. SpeeDee is more of a 50-50. So if you're somebody with a little automotive experience and you want to get into this line of this business, Grease Monkey might be the way to go. A little bit easier. You can bring on added services as your experience grows or as you're comfortable with it. SpeeDee, being out of the gate 50-50, if you have a little bit more automotive experience, meaning maybe you've worked at a dealership, maybe you have been what we call our pit crew, but been that tech in a quick lube facility, you know a little bit more. You know how to do things. You know what the language is. We'll teach you all of the other things. But those are the two big differences between the two brands. Roughly, the building is roughly the same. The cost is roughly the same. It's just the level of service that you're providing.
Okay. And what type of support you were talking about somebody that's coming from an automotive background, or what kind of support does FullSpeed University offer for their franchise owners?
Sure. When you go into a franchise, into a system, really what you're buying into is the back end of things. You're buying into the process, because there are other people that do this particular line of work. It's easily replicatable. And you've got your Jiffy Lubes, you've got your Valvolines. We can say them. Coke talks about Pepsi, McDonald's talks about Burger King. We know who's out there. But really what you're buying into in a franchise is the process. What's behind the scenes? How is the sausage made? And one of the things that we'll be able to do is train you. And our training is beyond reproach. It's one of the best ones in the industry. It is really geared towards teaching adults how to run the business. A lot of the focus that we're going to be putting on a franchise owner is customer service. Are you a people person? Do you have those skills, not just one-on-one with a customer, but in building your team? How do you create an environment that limits turnover and reduces turnover amongst your staff? Turnover is expensive. We don't want that. And since you're going to be in the community and known in the community and trusted, that's the big word here, trusted in the community, we're going to teach you how to do that. So part of that behind the scenes is buying into that process of how our training actually works. So not only are you going to be learning the nuts and bolts of the business, but you're going to get your hands a little dirty at some point towards the end, where you're actually going to be changing oil, actually going to be doing a few things. If you've never done it before, it's not as difficult as you may think. I've done it, and if I can do it, I'm a guy that knows how to put gas in the car, He knows how to fill the windshield wiper fluid, and I could do it. So if I can do it, anybody can do it. But do you have also those people skills? How do you relate to customers? How do you grow in the community? How do you keep your team together? How do you empower people on your team? We teach you all of those things to help make your business a success.
And that's great as far as the initial training goes, but FullSpeed, if I'm correct, goes beyond that and helps their franchise owners even once they've been in business 4, 5, 6 years down the road.
Of course. No, that is the thing. When you buy into the process, it's not just trying to get you in the door and get you open and then cutting you loose and never talking to you again. No, that's actually I don't want to say the easy part. That's the shortest lived part, getting you open. After that, for the time that you are with us, you are getting continual support in operations, in marketing, in training. You'll always have somebody assigned to work with you as a partner to help grow your business, to bring best practices to bear, to maximize your revenues and improve your efficiencies. They're a partner to you. They work for you. It's not the other way around. You don't work for them. They work for you. They're there to help you 24/7 in any way possible. So if you're not making the ROI that you should be making, we can dive in and analyze why you aren't. Now, we can tell you why, oh, you're paying your techs $200 an hour. That's why you're not making money. They love it, but you're not going to make money. You may come back to me and say, okay, well, I'll pay them $100 an hour. You're still not going to be making money, but you're not hurting the brand. So I can give you the solution. Doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be following it. The only time you've really got to do what they say is if you are touching the brand, if you're hurting the brand. If you decide all of a sudden that you're going to open up a Domino's pizza inside of your Grease Monkey, no, that's not something that we do. And that's where you could get, on the hand that we don't do that. That's not part of the recipe. But what we want to do and what we want you to do is be part of your community. So think about driving down the interstate all by yourself. You're all alone, no traffic. It's daylight. Don't drive off the road. You can shift lanes. We give you that kind of flexibility so you are involved in the community and you can tailor the business to meet your community's needs. Just don't drive off the road. It's hard to drive off the road, but we'll give you that flexibility.
Well, what are some examples of that flexibility? You brought up a great point.
There are some places, for example, some states that require you to be closed on Sundays. We're not going to require you then to be open on Sundays if the state mandates that you should not or cannot be open on Sundays. Your operating hours should be respectful of what your competition is also doing. So if you want to open up and go 9 to 3 every day, you're going to struggle because your competition is opened up earlier or later. So we'll let you adjust those hours to meet the needs of your community. We also have flexibility with regards to the size of your building. It's not a cookie cutter building. Maybe the economics say you should have a 2-bay or a 3-bay facility. Okay, that's what we do. Maybe the economics say you can handle 6 or 7, or the cost of the land and the building and everything that we put into it says this should work with 6, 5, 7 bays. We have flexibility for you to do that, to tailor it to your community. We're just not going to put a cookie cutter building on the corner or in this particular piece of dirt. We want to make sure it makes sense.
And particularly for SpeeDee, doesn't that also apply to the services that an owner can offer their clients?
SpeeDee, with both brands, you'll be able to do what I'll call light maintenance, flush and fills, brakes, alignments, those kind of things. SpeeDee is definitely going to be doing the alignments. Some facilities actually bring tires into the game. Grease Monkeys, maybe not as much, but SpeeDee's a few more. And we'll have a third brand coming on board later on in a few months that's going to be 80% repair, 20% oil and lube. So you're going to have the entire spectrum, and that brand, definitely you're going to be doing some of those more advanced services. But early on with SpeeDee, you will be doing some of those things. Grease Monkey, you can add them as the need arises.
And what type of ownership model works best with either or both brands, as far as owner operator to all the way to a huge executive type situation?
Well, if you get to be a multi-unit owner, that management structure is going to be a little bit different. But if we're talking just one store to start off with, you have to be present in the business. You do. If you sit home and binge Netflix all day and expect revenue just to pour in like a waterfall, it's not going to happen. Typically, what we find is franchisees who are more involved with their business early on ramp up faster and do better. That's on almost any brand. That's exactly what it is. We don't want you to be hands off. You have to be involved. You have to be present in your business. If you have no automotive experience, my suggestion is going to be get a good GM in there who has some automotive experience that can help guide you as well through the process. Are you going to be living there 14, 16 hours a day? Probably not. If you want to, that's up to you. But we do need you to be present in the business. This is not something, if you're just looking for a passive investment, that you'll never visit. You know, tradition says this is not going to work out as quickly and as well as it would if you are involved in the business uh, more.
And what are the top attributes for a franchise owner in the SpeeDee and Grease Monkey brands?
What we find the big differentiator are the people skills. That's huge in this, more than you think, because really what we want to do is deliver an exceptional experience that is more dealer centric. So think back 20 years ago 10 years ago, when you might have gone into this type of facility, it might have been cold and concrete and smelled a little bit of oil and was dirty is not the right word, but there was a feeling that you were in a garage. We want to transform this into more of a dealership experience. So if you go into a dealership for service, what do you have? High top tables to get work done. You have high-speed internet, again, to get work done. Maybe you have a TV on one side. You have snacks for people to have. You have quiet areas where they can go if they needed to have a phone call or do anything like that. We have outdoor seating. If it's a really nice day and you want to get some sun and be outside and on your computer doing work or just reading a book, we'll have that for you. So we're really changing how this works. And that really starts at the top with the attitude that the ownership puts out there. So if you understand going in that so much of this are people skills, I can teach you how to run the business. I can teach almost anybody to run the business. It's harder to teach those people skills. So if you have that, that's a huge differentiator. We know coming in that this industry or this, whenever you're talking about automotive repair, you have to build trust. You have to build trust in the community. And if you are there and people know, oh, Luke's my guy. I know Luke. Yeah, he'll take good care of you. Trust is getting built in. What do they say when you go to a neighborhood? If you find a good mechanic, you keep them. A good doctor, you keep them. A good dentist, you keep them. If you have a good place to get your oil changed and a place that will present a solution to you, not force it, not bait and switch you, trying to sell you something, a red, yellow, green type. Green, your brakes are good. Yellow, well, you're probably okay here for the next 6 months, but it's something that you may need, or if they're needed right away, we present that solution to you. And if you're not prepared to do it then, maybe we even arrange, well, can we schedule you to come back? Come back in a week or 2 weeks when maybe you have a little bit more time on a personal level. That's happened to me. When I take my vehicle in, I expect to be there for an hour or whatever that service is going to be. And they come back and say, well, we may have to do A, B, and C. How long will it take? Probably another hour. And I say, let's reschedule because I have to get home. I have to get back into the office. I have to get back to work. So we'll do the exact same things. But we really want to make it a pleasurable experience for the consumer, a comfortable experience for them as well, so that they know that this is their place to go. And once you build that brand loyalty, once you build that loyalty to the particular facility, it stays with you for a long time. A lot of vehicles on the road. All these vehicles need this kind of service. And the market share is certainly out there for somebody to do very well in this line of work.
Well, and I can attest to that, having a fleet franchise type system. It took me a couple of years to find them, but once I found that trusted mechanic that I could take my truck to and make sure that he was going to get it done, fixed correctly and ready to go as soon as he could, man, that was gold. And he was my fleet manager for basically 15 years.
Yeah,
of the 20 years I owned it, and
I
I could
remember us
trust
talking
my
about that.
yeah, I could trust my vehicles with him implicitly. So that's great, and I appreciate it. Um, do you have any hot areas that y'all are not pushing, but that you're trying to see more growth from right now?
Everywhere.
Everywhere. That's a
I've
great
got,
answer.
we've got the territories. When I think of our competition in this field, they have 17, 1,800 locations, over 2,000 locations. We're around 450. So I've got real estate, I've got territories. And if you're looking at multi-unit ownership, we do that as well. Certainly, if you are a rock star and you're doing great and you enjoy the business, why wouldn't I want to do more business with you? So we certainly look at multi-unit ownership, but it's not for everybody. Some people are happy with the one, and that's great. Some people want to own the whole market. That's great too. If you have the means and the ability and the structure and the plan to do so, we can certainly help facilitate that in pretty much every market in the country right now.
Mhm. Well, I know we've done an overview and the 30,000 foot level of what you're doing with with the brand. What haven't I asked you that I should that you want others to know?
One thing we go into, we look at and this is all in the FDD, all in the franchise disclosure documents, the average revenue per store. But one thing, when you want to compare apples to apples, I tend to look at what is the ongoing cost, and what you have to do with that. It's about looking at what the royalty is, what the ad contribution is, and what the local requirement is. And when I add those three together, you look at a number that is coming off the top for everybody. With some of my competitors, some of my friends out there, it can be as high as 15, 16% by the time you add those three numbers together. Ours is around 10% that go towards advertising and the royalties. So overall, we're going to be one of the lower cost ongoing operations in this space that you can have. By having that lower cost to you, it puts more money in your pocket. And if I can put more money in your pocket, does that mean you're going to put it back into the business? Probably. You're going to take a nice vacation? Maybe. Are you going to get a second and third location? Could be. But the idea is, I want to make sure that you can do well. So we want to make sure that the share that we are taking is a little bit more advantageous than maybe some of the competition that is out there. Our franchise fee is fairly low as well, and the question is never what the franchise fee is. The question is, what are you paying the franchisor prior to opening? Because you know this, Luke, there are some franchisors that will give you a franchise fee, excuse me, let's say of $40,000. That's your franchise fee. But they're going to charge you for training, and they're going to charge you for visits, and they're going to charge you for this kind of phone call. And before you know it, that 40 has ballooned up to 70. At 39.9, my franchise fee is one of the lower ones, but it's also all inclusive. There's not extra that you are going in and paying as you go through the process. But again, these are all things that are going to be in the FDD, but just something that people should be taking a look at. It's not always about franchise fee. Remember, it's about what are you paying a franchisor prior to your doors getting open, and then what are you paying, what are you contributing after your doors are open. Doing a financial pro forma, which is not difficult to set up, you'll be able to see that you can make substantially, potentially more in your pocket at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. And Charlie, when a franchise consultant slash broker brings a client to you, how do you like to work with that franchise broker and consultant through
Uh,
the due
as
diligence process?
as a partner. Luke, when you send people my way, you're on all the communications. Um, if you want to be on any phone calls that we have, you are welcome to do so. The scheduling it may not work out, but certainly I see it as a partnership with the three of us, with you, with me, and your candidate. I'm quick to respond. I think I've mentioned you, even if I'm sitting in the basement watching a game, I will pick up my phone on a Saturday or Sunday. I will text, I will do what we have to do. If we're dealing with people on the West Coast, as I'm on the East Coast, I'm Maryland, I'm happy to have conversations with West Coast people in the evening. The only thing I ask is let's not go after 8:30 at night West Coast time. That's 11:30 for me. I've done it, and I'm happy to do that late. But my role is information. It's getting things in front of candidates to help them make a decision. Is this right for you? It's walking them down a path of information acquisition. And that's all it is. That's really all it is. Getting things in front of you so you can make an educated decision. And hopefully at the end, when you're done with everything, and believe me, candidates know when they're done. It's not going to be, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I signed up for that. No, you're going to know. When we get to that point, my goal is they look in the mirror and they say, my goodness, I wish I found this 3 years ago. Because it's that good of an opportunity. And they understand that the support's going to be there in every aspect. When candidates come in, I don't expect them to know anything about anything. With all respect, I don't expect you to know anything about real estate, commercial real estate, construction, finance, marketing, operations. If you have some background, that's great. You know some of the terms. That's fine. But I don't expect you to know anything. But we have the experts on our side who will be helping you with all of these things. It behooves us for you to open up quickly and ramp up quickly, because since we get a royalty, we're not hiding the ball. We have a vested interest in your success. The quicker you are successful, the quicker we get you open, the better it is for everybody. The last thing that you want to do is sign up and 3-4 years later, you're still trying to find a site. You don't want that. And there are some industries out there where that is the norm. That's not the norm with us. We want you getting open as soon as possible. So in every area that you could think of, we're going to be there to support you, to be right there with you, arm in arm, helping you and guiding you through every aspect of getting open, keeping your doors open, and succeeding throughout the years.
And let's take, for example, I've owned a SpeeDee for 20 years. Mm-hmm. And I'm ready to retire, man. I've put my time in, build up some equity in this place. And
sure.
How do y'all handle resales?
So you would likely, first of all, we want you to sell it. We don't want a store to close. That's first and foremost. So there are some things that we can do, and there are some things that you are going to be doing. For example, what you're going to be doing is most likely getting a broker of some sort. There are websites that you can go on to list your business, but you'll get a broker of some sorts that can go out. What I can do is on my end, maybe do email blasts to everybody in that particular region or state who has ever wanted a grease monkey or a SpeeDee, that one is available. Once I get a positive response back, I can make an introduction. And then I back out because I'm not part of any negotiation. I can say, Luke, this is Joe. Joe, this is Luke. Luke has an interest in your business. Enjoy your discussion, and I back away. Once a deal is struck, then we can come back in and help get that new owner. We have to approve them. We have to get them trained. There's some work that we have to do as well, but certainly we don't want the store to close, and we will help you as much as we are legally able to do so. Always the big thing, right? Legally able to do so. We'll assist you as much as we can in keeping that door open and helping you exiting the system.
The theme I'm hearing throughout our conversation is that FullSpeed takes an interest in their franchisees from the very start of the process, all the way when they're ready to sell.
Goodness, yes, you are not a number. You're not a unit number. We get to know you. You are Luke Fry. You are in Ohio. Or you're in Maryland, or you're in Oklahoma, or wherever. You have 3, 4 kids, 5 kids. You're married. We know about you. You are a name to us, not a unit number. In fact, one of the things that we do when we go through after Discovery Day, if somebody is approved, one of the things I ask a candidate for is a picture of the family. Because when I present you to the executive team, they like to see it's a family guy. Or if you're a solo, that's fine too. Maybe you're with your dog. That's fine. But we want to know who you are. We want to know more about you. We want to make sure that it's a good fit both ways. That we are going to be a good fit for you, and you're going to be a good fit for our brand as well.
And this will be my last question, Charley, but I like to know what's the what's the culture? If you could sum up the culture of Full Speed and the folks you work with as franchisees, describe that for me.
Ooh, collaborative is a word that's used a lot. I want to do maybe a phrase. We are a big company that operates like a small company because we know your name, because we know your background, because we know that your area is a little bit different. What works in some areas will not work in other areas. So we want to make sure, again, you can cater that business to meet the needs of your community, that you can be a pillar in that community. And we want to be on board as a facilitator and as a helper in that process, knowing though this is your business. It's not ours, it's your business. It's our brand. We trust you with it. We trust you're going to be this great brand ambassador, but it's your business. How can we help you achieve success? So it's always about servant leadership. What can we do for you? Go out there, do great, have fun. And, we're going to be right there for support every step of the way.
And on that powerful note, Charley, I want to thank you again. And thank you all for watching this episode of the Successful Franchisee's Beautiful View. If you have anything or found anything insightful, please leave a comment, but make sure you like and subscribe to the channel and learn more about Charley and other folks in the franchise business. Stay safe and win every day.